Welcome to the Sleeping Barber podcast.
Welcome back to the Sleeping Barber podcast. And if you're
Let's go.
if you're new around here, this is the Barber's Brief, where Mark and I break down what's caught our attention in marketing over the last couple of weeks, the good, the bad, the overhyped. There probably be some data, definitely a few opinions, and at least one unnecessary reference to marketing effectiveness that we often do. Now, we'll obviously wrap with ad of the week, because amid all the dashboards, data, and debate, great creative still deserves the last word. Mark, how's it going, my friend? I was going to say good morning, but I'd be lying.
I know.
It's not.
This is off cadence for us. We're doing
Completely.
something in the afternoon. Oh my gosh. The sun's still out. It's great.
I know. I can't even do my mood lighting. I got to get a shade for my window because I'm backlit. It's terrible. Anyways,
Yeah.
first world problems.
Yeah, exactly. The backlighting is making me look as good as I normally do.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. No, things are good. Yeah, things are good. It's hard to believe summer's almost over. Leaves are falling. Leaves are turning colors. It's crazy.
I told my wife, I think the leaves are falling. She's like, no. I'm like, yeah, I think it's happening.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
So V, what do you got in the news?
Yeah, I got the first one this week. I got the honors. So the one that caught my attention, the title is The Marketing Industry's Truth in Pricing Problem and Why Adland is to Blame. So this caught my attention from authored by Darren Woolley. He's the founder of Trinity P3, and he points out a pretty uncomfortable contradiction in our industry. Think about luxury brands. Advertising agencies have spent decades helping these companies create brands capable of commanding enormous price premiums. We tell them not to compete on price, build distinctiveness, create perceived value, protect that premium. And then those same agencies walk into a procurement process and sell themselves based on hours, headcount, and increasingly who can do the work the cheapest. And as Woolley puts it, we teach our clients how to be indispensable, then sell our own expertise by the ton. And I think that's an interesting part of this. Marketing has become incredibly good at measuring costs and surprisingly bad at defining value. We benchmark agency rates, we benchmark media CPMs, we benchmark marketing investment as a percentage of revenue, and increasingly we celebrate efficiency simply because something got cheaper. But cheaper isn't necessarily better. A $5 CPM that nobody notices isn't better value than a $20 CPM that actually builds memory. And an agency that costs 20% less isn't a bargain if the thinking is materially worse. Now AI comes in and it makes this tension even more interesting. So if agencies charge clients primarily for people's time, an AI allows those people to produce that same work in half of the time. What exactly are clients then paying for? Are they paying for the hours? Or are they paying for the outcome? Because if it's the hours, agencies have a pretty serious problem. But if it's the quality of thinking, the strategic advantage is created or the commercial outcome delivered, then perhaps AI is forcing the industry to finally confront a pricing model that has been broken long before AI arrived. So Woolley's broader argument is that our inability to articulate value has consequences. When agencies can't confidently charge for value at the front door, the industry finds other ways to create margin, rebates, commissions, principal media, and other less transparent revenue streams. So these are where essentially two ideas collide. So my question to you here is, if agencies stop selling hours tomorrow, what should clients actually be paying them for?
Dude, that is such a great question. It's a rabbit hole. How much time do we have?
Oh man, as much as the people will give us.
It's such a tricky question. I remember, I want to say Lisa DeBono maybe is her last name. I know it's not.
Okay.
I don't think she was related to Edward DeBono, but the Six Thinking Hats guy.
Okay.
Anyway, I believe she was with a company called Huge.
Okay.
And that was changing their agency model from it being hourly based to value based. And it was a relatively large organization. And so it was substantial that they were doing that. I don't know how you... there's so many industries. Like I have a friend that's in engineering. He runs a firm there. They're all engineering firms charge by the hour. Lawyers, accountants, they all charge by the hour or by project.
Mm-hmm.
So I think by project is a reasonable alternative. But then there's the whole Pablo Picasso problem, which is there's that story about him being asked to sketch something, and he does this. He whips up this sketch in like 3 minutes, and then he's like, "That'll be like whatever it was, $10,000." And they're like, "It only took you 3 minutes." He's like, "No, it didn't. It took me a lifetime to do this."
Yeah,
and so I think there's that kind of thing where we don't have principles and a set governing body that tells the way we do things is like this. Like there's not a bar that we have to pass or an association that we have to get accreditation from.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's, without any of that kind of accreditation, there's no standardization in rates.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And there's no perceived value in like the risk of picking one agency over another. Like if you go with somebody who's not a lawyer to try and do your legal documents, like that's a problem.
That could be a problem.
Right. And so there's safety that comes with that kind of, or an engineering stamp, there's safety that comes with that. And so we don't have that. And I think that's part of our challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Like, what should clients be actually paying for? I mean, you can last week literally whipped up a website in a few hours on Claude. It's not great, and it probably has tons of code problems behind it, but I did it.
Yeah.
Like, for me, is it worth a couple hours? Absolutely. Is it worth $30,000 or $40,000 if I were to pay an agency? Probably not. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's a tough one. Genuinely, it's hard. It's hard because like you have large clients that want, either you're on a commission model, you're on a retainer, everyone approaches this differently. But then again, of course, the only way agencies can make money is when they can put as little amount of time into the account for the greatest output. Does that make sense? Right? So then they can put their people across multiple things. And that's what generates essentially, your positive revenue. And it's hard. I don't even know what the real solution is here, because if you can try to go that project base, but that's one off. Usually you can kind of get away with it. That's not really how agency models are built, at least not at the enterprise level. And then at the end of the month, they reconcile the hours, right? Like how many hours the team put. So they'll tell you that, hey, you went over by X amount of hours, but you were under in this side. So it's hours is still a big part of the model.
Yeah. I think everyone wants to know they're getting fair time put into their contract.
Yeah, that's fair.
For sure. And so there's but I think that only comes up when there's problems. That only becomes an issue when there's other problems. And then you're trying to troubleshoot, well, why aren't we getting the things that they told us we were going to get? And it turns out, well, nobody's doing shit over there. They're just taking our money.
That's true.
It's tricky, man. You must see a lot of it because you've got a lot of agencies you work with.
Yeah, and it's, again, I don't think there's a perfect model out there. It really, and the reason why I empathize with this note is I understand exactly where the author is coming from. I get it. But in the context of the business realities is you need to anchor something. You need to anchor the cost to something. And it's usually going to be hours. Because you'll say I'm assigning this team to your business and they're going to spend X amount of hours. You get 20% of my time because I'm a VP. You're going to get 100% of their time who's, the boots on the ground, as an example. I don't know how you get away from that.
Well, and just to kind of go down this rabbit hole a little bit more, there's also this idea that, AI is going to save us time or costs and resources and stuff. But so far, there's not many people that I've heard that are talking to it's saving them a ton more time.
No,
you can get things done faster, but it doesn't mean that there's less things to do.
No, I agree.
So there's one of those things that's a challenge. Plus, then, I just did this analysis this morning trying to figure out, what does it actually cost to do stuff on AI? There's a lot of cost for tokens now. And, are we getting to the point where Like when the internet goes down, nobody can work. But if we don't have AI, does that mean we don't have any intelligence anymore? We can't do any more work. And so like the cost, like is if for just a chat conversation back and forth, it's like, pennies for a conversation. For a blog post, it told me the blog post I wrote this morning was $8. But if you're doing an agent that's constantly by your side doing everything, it's like thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah.
Multiply that by however many people. Like you're not I don't know like where all the money's going to come from to cover off all that. Like it might actually increase fees.
Maybe.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, I didn't mean to go in that deep of a rabbit hole, but it's a thing. And yeah, I don't know. AI is the answer for a lot of things, but I don't know if it's the answer for everything.
Totally. We should ask AI.
We should ask AI. Yeah, exactly. All right. What did you find?
Cool article. This guy, Paul Worthington, I've talked about him before. He's a great guy. He's got a really thoughtful Substack. This is called Off Kilter is his blog post. This one was called The Availability Trap, I should say. So he had this opening line that I thought made me twitch for sure. And it really caught my attention. So if all we did was follow Sharp, in other words, Byron Sharp, Byron Sharp.
Byron Sharp? Yeah.
Yeah. We'd be screwed. I'm like, okay, got my attention.
Okay.
And so it's a really well constructed article. You'd have to kind of read it. And he's not saying that how brands grow is wrong by any stretch. But he is saying mental and physical availability are kind of like table stakes. And I agree with him in a lot of ways about this. If you get those wrong, it doesn't matter what else you do. None of that
That's true.
will work. And I think that's one of the things that is so helpful about mental and physical availability is that like it really does a great job to synthesize a whole bunch of research into one simple framework. To check off your list, did I do this right? And did I do this right? Like,
right.
Before doing anything else, like if we can't get that done, then we should really think about what we're doing.
Yep.
And so we should be exceptional at building mental and physical availability. But if every competitor is doing it, it can't be any strategy for winning because everybody's doing it. And then that's where like big brands are growing, in part because they have more resources to put at their mental and physical availability. And they have more customers and blah, blah, blah. So he makes this conversation around or argument around private label. So it didn't beat brands with better marketing. There's this rise of private label in his article he talks about. And I've seen it a lot at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But I think they're using the availability playbook from inside the store where they're just removing competing brands and replacing their own brand. So they're taking the mental and physical playbook and using it to their advantage. So when the retailer owns the shelf, the retailer owns the availability. And so when your edge is the thing is the thing your competitor controls, then it isn't an edge. And that's why I think what Paul points to is really ultimately Roger Martin, the idea around where to play and how to win. So if you think about what customer value you're creating and then why you deserve to win with it, I think that's something other than just mental and physical availability. It's the way you do it. It's not so much that you do it.
Right.
And so he's ultimately coming down to this line about how Paul is, about how the Ehrenberg-Bass Institute's work helps us ensure that we don't lose through a lack of operational excellence in marketing, which I think is so critical. There is a definite discipline there. But it doesn't on its own tell us what we should do to win and break out of cycles of like, we're a fourth place brand in the market and how do we break out of that?
That's fair.
Because that's a conversation about strategy. What are the choices we're going to make to break free from this position that we're in? It's not just about operational excellence. So I don't know. What do you think about how to break out of...
No, the reason why I agree is because you know this. I've been trying to create like a framework, a repeatable strategic framework that touches everything from commercial strategy, marketing strategy to media strategy. And it's all anchored in the playing to win framework from Roger Martin up front, up top, right? Then it moves into, defining like mental availability, physical availability, then, your category entry points, etc. So I agree with what Paul's saying here. Mental and physical availability is table stakes. At minimum, you need to be doing these really well so that you have enough storefronts. You're out there talking about your product and services as consistently as possible. But that isn't the how you win, right? The how you win is really, you have to define it upstream on what territories you really want to own, which comes back into the marketing strategy and anchoring in things like category entry points as an example. So yeah, I agree with this. And the best way to break out of this cycle is just simply go back and say, well, if all things are equal, what am I doing differently from my competitor today that sets me apart?
Yeah, it's such an interesting thought. Like, as we've had Dale on before, Harrison, talking about brands that are just running to stay in place. And I think the one that I think about a lot, which is why I did this availability trap, kind of caught my attention. And you and I've kind of discussed this a little bit, but like, if your budget, let's just say it's 5% of total revenue, and everybody in your category is also getting 5% of the revenue, how do you break free from that? You got to do something radical in order to get more share of voice, or within your budget, allocate it differently.
Again, though, wouldn't you have still two levers to pull? Because there could be bigger levers like logistics, things like from an operational perspective, you could probably look at. But let's just kind of bring it back to our side. We've been talking about showmanship and that being a great differentiator from a creative perspective, right? So that could be something that you're just going to level up your creativity as a brand that makes you stand out a little bit more than, say, your competitors. So that could be an angle, a creative angle. The other one is like how you're choosing to bring all of this to life. We've seen the rise of the creators, right? If your competitors are not playing in that space, that could be, again, another great differentiator where now you're working against the mental availability side of it, but through a different source. So I think like there's still ways that you can break out of this, but you just have to have the courage. And if I cite one of the things that Karen Pierce, one of the partners there over at Rethink, told us, it's like you're almost like need to make those calculated risks. Or sorry, a risk shouldn't feel, how does she position it? A risk shouldn't feel scary. Shouldn't feel scary. Exactly. It needs to be calculated. So I think there's ways. The one thing I just quickly wanted to say that just popped in my head, mental physical availability are also a great diagnosis tools.
Totally.
Diagnostic tools. Like, okay, let's
100%.
talk about, physical availability. Are we actually at par or not? Or are we actually, is there opportunity there for us to do more? Same thing on the mental availability side. Maybe you don't have an always on program, or you can't afford one, or how you choose to market those dollars in those moments. Like, how do you do that? Right.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a couple ways you can get out of it. Proper diagnosis against mental and physical availability. But then I don't know if we're using the marketing lens, there's a medium, and then there's the creative output that you could probably look to shake up.
Good point, C. Okay, what else you got here? There's a really interesting one. Speaking of creators,
that was going to be my segue. Yeah. How to measure the true value of creators and review content. So I went back to the well here in the search engine land. I just love that website. I really do. And this one is something that, Mark, you and I have kind of talked about a bit. Attribution versus incrementality on and off. I know we had a great conversation with Avanish, would have been a few years ago, about this. But this time, I wanted to kind of anchor this in this example that this article had around influencers, reviewers, and affiliate marketing, because there is a problem. So imagine you pay a YouTube creator to review your product. Your PR team pays the creator and sends them the product. Then your affiliate team gives them the commission link. Your social team sees the content performing and puts paid media behind it. Then your SEO and AEO team sees the review And search and AI results are starting to invest in that correlationship as well. So everyone looks at their dashboard and thinks that their channel is working. But there's pretty important question nobody has asked. Are we actually creating additional demand, or are we paying 3 or 4 times for the same customer? And that's what I really liked about this article, because it argues that a review content can become what the author calls parasitic over time. Initially, a creator might genuinely introduce your brand to a new audience and generate incremental customers, but months later, that same review might rank when someone searches for your brand, appear, and they're comparing 2 products at that point, or become the final piece of a reassurance for someone who's already going to buy. So the content is still valuable. We're not second guessing this or changing that. But I think now all of a sudden that same content, the role has changed within it. And that's the distinction I think marketers sometimes miss. So if an affiliate platform tells you a creator generated $100,000 in revenue, that doesn't mean removing that creator would cost you $100,000 in sales. Attribution tells you who touched the transaction. Incrementality asks whether the transaction would have happened without them. So those are fundamentally 2 different questions. And there's another wrinkle here when we start thinking about the lens of AI search. Third-party reviews are increasingly becoming potential source of material for AI-assisted discovery. That means creator content could have value well beyond its original campaign, shaping how your brand is understood, connecting the products to a particular use cases or buying situations, building credibility, and potential influencing what gets surfaced in an AI-generated answer. Again, that's value. So I think there's a bigger lesson that we have to stop expecting every marketing activity is to justify itself using the same metric. A creator might start as an acquisition channel and eventually become social proof. A review might begin as awareness and later become conversion support. The value hasn't necessarily disappeared. The job it's doing has simply changed. And I don't know if you saw yeah, of course you did because you reacted to it. James Herman, he tagged us in a post around podcasters. Yeah. This is a perfect example where it's because there's longevity in a podcast, by the way, why you should all be supporting us and sponsoring this episode. But it's
lots of sponsorship opportunities here at the Sleeping Barber. If you call us right now, 1-877.
But yeah, anyways, the big question here is like, have we become so obsessed with that attributing every sale that we've actually become worse at understanding how marketing grades value?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving on. New story number 4.
No, but I mean, you've got you put some really good stuff up over a long time, but just in general, like when we've got a conversation coming up on Sharp Cut about ROI, it's one that keeps coming back over and over and over again.
It does.
Like we have more data than ever before, and confidence in marketing is arguably lower than it's ever been before, which are weird things to actually be true simultaneously, but somehow they are. It's weird. Like, how do we have all this data, but we can't answer like, did it work?
Yeah, no, we can't.
It's weird.
Not confidently, at least.
No. So I think that's the thing about incrementality. Like, it's not data. I agree with you. We need it. And it's not data that's readily accessible. You have to kind of go out of the box to find it. And you have to be willing to go, no, this is the right way to do it, instead of just saying, you know, for everyone that goes, oh, here's my numbers. Here's my numbers. I can get that to you in a second here. Here's my numbers, right?
Yeah.
We have to be able to, we have to be able to say, let's just take a step back and actually figure out what this means and what we're trying to do.
Yeah. All right. Final story.
From our friend Mary Kitty. How was my Greek there?
You did great, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Must be all the feta I've gifted you.
Oh, I've been eating so much feta over the Christmas and summer break. It's been great. I started eating without like vinegar in some cases. It made me think of you every time I did that.
There you go.
Yeah, sometimes it's not to my taste. Mary had this great post on LinkedIn. So she gave a really good definition of pricing power, and one of the best ones I've read. So it measures permission, not intent, which I think is really interesting. So pricing power tells you whether people are already think you're worth more than the alternative before you even ever ask them to do anything. So Kantar, who she works with, tested whether that permission shows up in the P&L. And so they matched Brandzy equity data with financial data from 2019 to 2020. And for every $100 of sales, the brands with the weakest pricing power kept $10 of profit. So like a 10% profit, essentially. Everyone else kept 14. So it's $4 extra on every 100 straight to the bottom line. Same economy, all that kind of stuff. And so it's that particular gap isn't actually that interesting. The one that's really interesting is that the very best brands you might think would be like sky high, like 20 or something, but they're not. They kept $15 of profit on average. So the average ones kept 14. So being exceptional earns you an extra $1 per 100. So being bad at it costs you $4. And so the risk was never that you fail to become a premium brand. The risk is that you slide to the bottom and the market starts setting the price for you. Remember we had Herman Simon on way back when with I forget what episode it was. He was on a few times, but there was an episode on pricing we talked to him about. And so I remember like having a lot of interesting ahas with him going, what do you mean it's not, the objective isn't profit? Because, revenue is sometimes profit or is sometimes the objective. And so people don't care about profit.
Yeah.
But if the objective is profit and not revenue, then price is the biggest lever. And he had talked about for every dollar or percent increase in profit that you can get, improvement in price generates about 10% more profit, whereas volume and cost control measures only equal about 10% additional value on their own. So price is the single biggest lever to drive profit. And then there's another study that came out that validated that. But not everyone is incentivized by profit, as I mentioned. So plenty of teams get paid on revenue. And so then they spend permission on discounts. And so Mary wasn't talking about just, raise your prices. She's actually just making a great point about you should find out whether you have the permission to or not to see if people are willing to pay.
Yeah.
Because you might be leaving a ton of money on the table.
That's a really interesting way of framing it. I was just going to say, I keep thinking about like luxury brands. It's as consumers, we have this expectation that I'm going to pay 10 times more. I don't know where else I was going with that, but it's just.
But even if you're not a luxury brand, we have all these things like Black Friday. We need a 60% off message, or no. Last year was 60. Everyone's going to go higher this year. We need a 70% off message.
We
it's
live
almost
that.
like this race to the bottom. And so, what if you didn't? Like, does that matter? Like, if you just did 20, 30, like, is what we're selling going to drive maybe smaller volume, but is it driving more profitable sales? Like, how much are we willing to give away? There's a whole thing around like the number is sometimes the thing that appeals to people. They don't actually buy the thing that's 70% off, but the up to messaging.
We lived up to messaging.
Like, do you really need up to all the time? Like a giant ridiculous, like why not 1,000% off?
Yeah.
Obviously you can't do 1,000%, but 100% free.
And we'll ship it to you, and we'll walk it to your door, and we'll walk your dog. I'm trying to think like our shared experience in retail. Think about Black Friday, any core retail moment, your up to message was the thing that set the tone for the consumer. And we would always say, at minimum, give me what I had last year. So make sure that I can drive traffic, engagement, all the KPIs that we thought mattered at the time. And that only happened with those deep discounts. Now, if I'm a consumer, have I now already been trained to wait for Black Friday? And if I don't see 60% off, that I'm either going to try to find it elsewhere that is giving me that 60% off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it matters on the setting.
This is where the satisficing, I think, kicks in. And that's why I think her comment is interesting, because find out if you have to give it. Because like, just because I can get it 60% somewhere else or $20 off, like I might just go, fuck it. I'll just get it from here because it's too much of a pain.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I think finding out if you have permission to do it is a whole other exercise then. I don't disagree, but like, again, if you're a big box retailer, how do you even test that? I don't even know how you test it.
Yeah.
AB, geo. But then if someone finds out that actually they could have bought it cheaper if they just were in a different province, picking on Canada here, or let's say the state in the United States, then like the competition bureau's after you.
Yeah. I mean, it applies in things beyond like retail even, because in a lot of things there's MSRP on a lot of retail, but you don't have MSRP on a lot of services.
No.
Anyway,
no, you don't.
Interesting idea.
That's a really interesting idea. Yeah. Good find. Well done, Mighty.
Out of the week.
Spotify turns playlist names into hyperlocal punchlines.
Love this one.
Yeah. So I think this started hitting. I think Spotify's done this before. And they've done it again. And it feels like it's one of those campaigns where the idea is almost as ridiculous. It is ridiculously simple. It really is. Spotify has taken real playlist names from its platform and turned them into hyper-local outdoor ads, pairing those playlists with specific locations and cultural observations to create the punchline. What I love about this, and for the video, for those on YouTube, I'll insert some of the images that we have. What I love about this is Spotify has essentially found a way to do, dare I call it, personalization at scale without failing or falling into the trap of making advertising feel overly personalized. Because I think that's the biggest difference. Now, we spent years talking about personalization as a technology problem, more data, more targeting, more dynamic creative, more versions of the ad, which at the end of the day doesn't really work. Spotify, however, is approaching it as a creative platform instead, or a creative problem that they're trying to solve for. So the ad doesn't need to know who I am. It needs to understand something about where I am and the culture I'm part of. And Spotify in particularly is really good at this because the product itself gives them an almost endless source of cultural material. Playlist names, listening habits, artists, genres, and all the weird ways people use music to describe moments in their lives have become ingredients for advertising. So they've actually been doing versions of this, like I said earlier, for years. Some of Spotify's best outdoor work has taken data that could have been incredibly boring and turned into something that's quite human. It's funny. It's very also culturally recognizable. And it's what I think a lot of brands miss when they talk about being data-driven. Spotify's putting the data in the ad. They're finding that human truth hiding inside the data. And then they're allowing the audience to complete the joke. And there's something else I really like about this too. This is advertising designed for the medium. You're walking down the street. You may be 2 or 3 seconds. There's a local reference. You immediately recognize a playlist name that becomes the punchline and Spotify. That's it. No product demo, no QR code to scan, no 6 benefit statements. It's just a distinctive brand using something only it could credibly own to make the marketing really entertaining. That's the ad of the week.
Yeah, I love it. It's a good one. I know they did those other ones where it was like, I don't know, Sally Johnson listened to this song 348,000 times. Those kinds of things.
Thanks, Sally.
Yeah, there's some really good ones in here. I noticed they didn't put any of mine in the list, but
no, mine missed it too.
Like summer 2026, I thought would have been a shoe-in for one of these. There's some good ones. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
interesting. Like, it's a great way to like show their platform, show how people are using their platform, make it relevant. But relevant isn't just like one-to-one. It's for like the geographic, cultural targeting.
Totally.
And the creative is the target. Like the medium is mass, but the creative is the targeting tool. I love lots of things about this.
Yeah. It just makes sense on so many levels.
Yeah.
And it's why
they got the
I'm
brand,
not
they got their
surprised.
logo. It's the product actually, like a screenshot of their product in use. Like it's amazing.
Oh, exactly. Right. So it's immediately recognizable. So you know exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah. So good. Well done.
Well done.
And that, V, brings us to the end of our Barber's Brief.
Wait, what's coming up later this week?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. There's so many things coming up later. Well, first, we've got a new Sharp cut coming out around effectiveness and the challenge that there is with leadership on bringing effectiveness inside of an organization, which is going to be really good.
This one. I really like this one.
Yeah, and then next week, we've got a great guest. Who do we have, V?
Fiona Stevenson. And guess what we get to talk about?
Pickles. No.
We'll talk about pickles in the post-pod. No, we talk about innovation.
I love kosher dill pickles.
Yeah, exactly. No, we get to talk about innovation. Fiona recently with Shelley penned a great book called Built for Breakthrough, Why Innovation Fails and How Smart Leaders Get It Right. I have it right in front of me here. That's how I
was like,
I can cite it that way. It's such a great read, but I'm even more excited that we get to get into it with Fiona and just kind of get like some of the thought process behind some of the material in here. It's just really strong though, really well written.
Yeah, it's great. I had so many flashbacks to our MBA when we were doing that, the innovation courses.
Yeah,
so great.
Really,
and
really
that
good.
Brings us to the end of our Sharp Cut or Barber's Brief. Oh, wrong episode. Thanks for keeping us in your ears.
Stay sharp, everybody. Oh, yeah.